The next one was a Rolling Stone article that came out, and it was pretty vague, at least from my interpretation of it. But basically, I mean, it's what we kind of know. Unreported FBI document obtained by Rolling Stone reveals private messaging apps, WhatsApp and iMessage, are deeply vulnerable to law enforcement searches. And so they go on to talk a little bit more about some type of what is it called? The FBI has some document that basically outlines how they get these requests and stuff like that. And so, one thing they said was, let's say for WhatsApp, for example, a subpoena only yields basic subscriber information. With a search warrant, WhatsApp turns over address book contacts for a targeted user, as well as other WhatsApp users who have targeted individuals in their contacts as well. So, like maybe message content isn't quite there yet, at least on the iMessage on the WhatsApp side, but obviously metadata is the massive thing here. So the metadata obviously captures what users talk to each other, when they do it, which other users have each other in their address book, devices, locations. All that metadata also is being sent over. I mean, I don't think this is anything new, so I'm not sure how it was like a big story, but it did seem to get a little bit of, I would say, a little bit of a hype cycle. And then, yeah, I mean, did you guys see anything that stuck out of the article, or everything was pretty much stuff I think we've kind of talked about a little bit here and there before?
Yeah, it's a clickbaity, sensationalist title that got them attention. There's no meat in there.
Yeah.
So I think we know that metadata is what can be shared and not the content, and that is obvious. And they talk about contacts and whatnot. WhatsApp and all of this gets its contacts from the contacts database within the phone, and they are in sync, right? And that I don't think is encrypted. So anyone who has access to a phone can get it. It doesn't matter if it is WhatsApp or some other thing. So it's again clickbaity title. That I think that said, there is the key point really is legislation. When you send out a request for data, when you have legal permission to request it, any business is has to provide it. That's part of the legal framework, right? So now the challenge really is, and we discussed this a few times, right? Legislations are local, and apps and services are global, and therein lies the conflict. And it's not easy to solve because a company is, let's say, here in US, and US companies can get as much information about all the users, global users. But what if someone from Germany wants to get information from a US company? They do not have the legal authority to go request information about a German user in US, or maybe from another country like India or Japan or any of these, right? Because legislations and the scope is restricted to a particular country, and then that is the legal framework is restricted to the country. But then the user base that these services are serving are global. This is the reason I keep saying that we will see these virtual walls come up, and the restrictions will keep coming up because, and we will likely see several local, regional services pop up to serve the local user base.
I keep thinking so many themes are repeated on all of our episodes. And I think part of it is because, the technology is way ahead of, you know, any kind of policy or legislations. And it's not just it's ahead, it's actually getting further and further ahead because technology is coming out. It's like almost every day there's something new that we all have to kind of react to as individuals, as corporations, as other kind of entities, and as governments of all local, state, nation. There is no world kind of policy, but it's getting harder to, I guess, react to technology and what it does and the rate that it's doing it. And that's just going to be an ongoing theme. And all these things that we talk about from a privacy perspective, I think it's just kind of getting more difficult for privacy to stay or get to where it should be because it's not where it should be right now.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, Raji, you mentioned the content piece, but I thought I read a little bit of mixed information on there. When you have like your WhatsApp conversations backed up on either iPhone or Android, I think those are unencrypted. And even in the article, one thing that it did mention was if a targeted user backs up their iMessage activity to iCloud, Apple's storage platform, obviously, the FBI document says the law enforcement can request backups of the target device, which includes the actual messages they sent and received on iMessage, if they're backed up in the cloud. So this backup is, I would say, kind of a catch-22, right? Like you back up because you want, a safe copy of it, but if that backup is then exposing everything, then it's not a very good backup. I mean, have you seen anything on that or no
I
more?
I didn't. Nothing that revealed on that front. I knew that iCloud backups aren't encrypted. I didn't
Yeah.
know if iMessages are part of it. I'll be surprised if they are.
Okay, yeah, maybe it was just yeah. I mean, given the whole article is a little sensational, I wouldn't take it that they worded the sentence a little bit officially. But yeah, it would be kind of weird if it wasn't. But who knows?